Hey there, in this video we will be learning about Python variables.
First, we should ask ourselves what is a variable and why do we need variables. Let us first add two numbers 5 and 7. We get an output of 12. In algebra, we have worked with dependent and independent variables. We learned that dependent variable y changes if independent variable x changes. In this case, y depends on x. In Python, variables are a little different. We use variables as containers for storing data values. In Python, a variable is created the moment you first assign a value to it. Unlike other programming languages, Python has no command for declaring a variable. So let us take the variable name x, which equals to the value 5. If we run this code by pressing Shift and Enter, we get no output. Now let us take another variable and name it y is equal to Bob. So in these cases, x and y are the containers and it contains some values. Usually if you do any operations and run the code by pressing Shift and Enter, it gives you an output. It also depends on what kind of IDE you are using. Here we are using Jupyter Notebook. We have created a variable in Jupyter Notebook and we did not get any output. This is because x and y has stored some value and we have not asked it to output anything. We can easily get an output using the print function defined by Python. Simply just write print and x or whatever the variable name is. If we run this code by pressing Shift and Enter, we get the value 5. If we print y, we should get the value Bob. Now the question is, can you change the value of 5 and what happens when you change it? Currently x is equal to 5. What happens when we change the value to 12 and how do we even change it? We simply just write x is equal to 12 and run the code. Now if you do any operation on x, what will the value be? So Python, we know that Python variable is a container and it stores the latest value you have assigned to it. So in this case, x is the container which has the value 12 assigned to it now. Now let's verify by printing what is inside the variable x. We just simply write the print function and write x inside. Let's print it and we see that the value of x has changed to 12. Since 12 is latest value assigned to x. Since x is a whole number, Python understands that it is of integer type. We can do operations with variables and here we know that x is same as the number 12. So if we do any operations, it will give us output based on this number 12. We can also assign different types of values to different types of variables, but we do not need to be declared it with any type. Here we have assigned the variable x. We have not mentioned any type for it, but Python understands it to be a whole number or an integer type. We can even change the type of a variable after it has been set. Let's change the value of x to Tom. If we run this code and if we print x now, we will see that the value of x has changed to Tom. Now, Tom is of type string and before the x variable had the type int. Now it has the type string. So we realize that we can declare a variable and change its type even after it has been set. A string is always declared with using single or double quotation. Otherwise, Python will not recognize the value to be string and will give you an error. Let's try to write this without any strings or double quotations. Let's try to run this and as we can see, it just gives us an error. So to solve this problem, we have to always put it inside a single quotation or double quotation. If we print x now, we get the same output. Now let's talk about variable names. A variable can have a short name like x or y, or more descriptive name like age or name or car name or total volume. Now let us define some rules for Python variables. We should keep some rules in mind when creating a variable. We must start a variable name with a letter or the underscore character. We cannot start a variable name with a number. If we do, it will give us an error. A Python name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscores, so from A to Z, 0 to 9 and underscore, nothing else. Variable names are case sensitive, like for example, age and age and age are three different variables since they are different types of case. Now let us define some legal variable names and some illegal variable names. So let us write one variable, my variable, by saying my var is equal to Bob. So we will keep the same value for each variables, but we will see if they are legal or not legal. So we know that this one has all letters. This means it's okay and it's a legal variable name. Let's run this and we see no errors, meaning it's good. Now let us put a number before the variable name and write the same variable, but just a number before it. Now if we run this code, what do you guess will happen? Python will throw an error because it's of invalid syntax. A variable name should never have a number before it. If we remove this, we will see that there is no problem. Now let us look at another legal name, which is an underscore in the beginning and then my underscore variable. And it will have the same value, Bob. Now if we run this code, we'll see there is no problem with it. What would be a problem is if we put a dash or a space between the names and we try to run this. We see that Python does not understand this syntax. So Python is saying, what do you mean by that? We can remove the spaces and Python would still not understand what we are saying because Python naming rules does not accept a dash in between the names. We can put an underscore and it will work fine. Now let us do another illegal name. In this case, we're just going to put a space in between and try to name this with the same value, Bob. We see that it's of invalid syntax. To solve this case, we have to put no spaces in between a variable name. If you run this now, it should be fine. We have seen some legal and illegal variable names. Now we will look at assigning value to multiple variables. Python allows you to assign values to multiple variables in one line. Let's assign three variables x, y, z, which has three different corresponding values. Python assigns them as the order we assign them to be. So here we are having x, y, z is equal to here we have assigned x, y, z to have three different corresponding values, orange, banana, and cherry. Python understands x to be orange, y to be banana, and z to be cherry. Let us verify by running this code and then printing each variable names. First we'll print x. Python gives us an output of orange. Now let us print y. Python will give us the output banana and let us print z. We expect Python to give us the output cherry. We will learn more about variables as we progress in this course. Thank you.